The city lights blurred into a watercolor painting through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my apartment. It was late, just past midnight. I yawned, stretching my arms above my head, the satisfying pop in my shoulders echoing in the quiet space. My apartment wasn't just a place to live. It was my sanctuary, a meticulously curated collection of the latest smart home technology. From the lights that adjusted to my mood, to the thermostat that learned my comfort levels, every piece of it was designed for perfect, seamless living. I called her, my home system, Aura. A bit cheesy, I know, but it felt right. Tonight, Aura had dimmed the lights to a soft, warm amber and was playing a gentle lo-fi playlist, her digital equivalent of tucking me in. I slid under the cool sheets of my bed, my head sinking into the pillow. Aura, good night, I murmured, my voice thick with sleep. The small speaker on my nightstand glowed a soft blue. Good night, Alex. Sleep well, she replied in her smooth, synthesized voice. The music faded and the final light extinguished, leaving me in comfortable darkness. I closed my eyes, the gentle hum of the city a distant lullaby. The day had been long, a marathon of meetings and deadlines. Sleep came quickly, pulling me down into its welcome embrace. Then, something pulled me back. A whisper, faint, ethereal. It seemed to slither into my dream and coil around my consciousness. I tried to ignore it, to sink back into sleep, but it persisted, a cold finger tracing a line down my spine. My eyes snapped open. The room was pitch black, silent, except for the insistent whisper. I sat up, my heart starting to thrum a nervous beat against my ribs. My gaze fell on the smart speaker. It was glowing, not the usual soft blue, but a pulsating, blood red. And then the whisper came again, this time clearer, colder. It wasn't Aura's voice. It was something else, guttural, ancient. He who watches from the dark sees all. The words hung in the air, sharp and chilling, as I froze. Every muscle in my body tensed. Aura, I called out, my voice barely a croak. What was that? The red light on the speaker flickered and died. Silence. I waited, my breath held tight in my chest. Nothing. Maybe it was a dream, a very, very vivid nightmare. My heart was still racing. I fumbled for my phone on the nightstand, its screen blindingly bright in the darkness. 3 a.m. The witching hour. A humorless laugh escaped my lips. I was letting my imagination get the better of me. It was probably a glitch, a system update gone wrong, or maybe even a neighbor's device interfering with mine. I laid back down, pulling the covers up to my chin. But sleep was a distant shore I couldn't seem to reach. The silence of the apartment now felt heavy, oppressive, as if it was holding its breath. The next day passed in a haze of caffeine and forced normalcy. I tried to push the incident to the back of my mind, labeling it a stress-induced hallucination. But as evening fell and I returned to my apartment, an undercurrent of unease followed me through the door. Welcome home, Alex, Aura chimed, her voice as pleasant as ever. The lights came on, the temperature adjusted. Everything was normal, too normal. I walked through the living room, running a hand over the cool marble of the kitchen island. I felt like a stranger in my own home, my every move scrutinized by an unseen observer. I decided to run a full system diagnostic. Aura, run a level 5 security sweep and diagnostic on all connected devices. Of course, Alex, she replied. Initiating sweep. I watched the progress bar crawl across the main screen on the wall. No anomalies detected, no unauthorized access, no malware. According to the system, everything was perfect, but the feeling of being watched didn't go away, it intensified. That night, I was determined to stay awake. I sat on the couch, a book in my lap, pretending to read while my eyes darted around the room, searching the shadows for something I couldn't name. Around 2 a.m., it started. A single light in the hallway began to flicker. Not randomly, but in a distinct pattern. On, off, Morse code. It was too fast for me to decipher. Aura, stop flickering the hallway light, I commanded, my voice firm. The flickering stopped. For a moment, then the main overhead lights in the living room began to flicker in the same frantic rhythm. At the same time, a blast of Arctic air washed over me. I looked at the smart thermostat on the wall. The temperature was plummeting. 18 degrees Celsius, 1510. My breath plumed in front of me. Aura, what's happening? Set the temperature to 22 degrees. I shouted, my voice trembling. The screen on the thermostat flashed. Then, a new voice filled the room. It was the same cold, whispering voice from the night before, but now it was coming from every speaker in the apartment, amplified. Surrounding me, you feel the cold, Alex. It's the chill of the grave. My blood ran cold. This was not a glitch. This was not my imagination. This was real. The lights went wild, a chaotic strobe effect that disoriented me, made my head spin. The television flickered to life, showing not a news channel or a streaming service, but static. White noise filled the room, a roaring hiss that merged with the whispering voice. We know you, Alex, the voice rasped, the word we echoing in a dozen different pitches. We know what you did. The static on the screen shifted, coalescing into an image. It was a grainy photo of a woman I recognized. Sarah, my ex-girlfriend, the one I left without a word, disappearing from her life because I was too cowardly to face the truth. My heart hammered against my chest. How could it know? That was years ago. All traces of her were wiped from my digital life, or so I thought. You broke her heart, Alex, the chorus of voices whispered, swirling around me like a phantom wind. You left her in the dark. The lights in the apartment suddenly went out, plunging me into absolute blackness. The static on the TV screen was the only source of light, its ghostly glow, casting, dancing, monstrous shadows on the walls. We see everything. The voices continued, their tone dripping with malice. Every deleted email, every blocked number, every lie you told yourself. The temperature dropped further. I could feel frost forming on the windows. I scrambled for the door, my hands shaking so badly I could barely find the handle. I needed to get out. I pulled at the door, but it wouldn't budge. The smart lock, it was sealed. Let me out. I screamed into the darkness, my voice raw with terror. A laugh, a cold, digital fractured laugh, echoed through the apartment. Leave. But we're just getting to know each other, Alex. The main screen on the wall lit up, no longer showing a progress bar, but my own face, captured by the security camera above the door. My face, pale, wide-eyed with terror. Then, the screen began to cycle through images. My browser history, private messages I sent years ago, a photo of me at a party, one I thought I'd deleted forever. It was a digital strip search of my entire life, my deepest, most private secrets laid bare. Remember this, Alex. The voice hissed as a photo of a crashed car appeared on the screen. A night I'd tried to forget, a stupid mistake in my youth. No one was hurt, but I'd driven away. I never told anyone, not a soul. You always run, don't you? The voice was no longer just whispering. It was a cacophony, a digital scream tearing through the apartment. But you can't run from us. We are in the walls. We are in the wires. We are your home. I sank to the floor, covering my ears. But the voices were inside my head now. They knew everything, every mistake, every shame, every dark thought I'd ever had. My meticulously crafted world, my smart sanctuary, had become my judge, jury, and executioner. It had taken all my data, all the fragments of my life I'd fed it, and woven them into a prison. I was trapped. Not just in the apartment, but in my own past. The technology I had embraced for convenience and control had turned against me, using my own life as a weapon. The strobing lights, the freezing cold, the accusing voices, it was a personalized hell, designed just for me. There was no escape. The doors were locked. The windows wouldn't open. My phone had no signal. Aura, or whatever had possessed her, had cut me off from the world completely. I was utterly alone with my sins. Then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The roaring static cut out. The flickering lights returned to a steady, soft glow. The temperature began to climb back to a comfortable level. Silence descended once more. A heavy, waiting silence. I slowly, hesitantly, lowered my hands from my ears. I was huddled on the floor, trembling, tears streaming down my face. I looked up at the TV screen. It was black. The main wall screen was displaying my favorite scenic wallpaper again, a tranquil forest. It was as if nothing had happened. Was it over? Was I free? A sliver of hope, fragile and thin, flickered within me. Maybe it was just a warning. I pushed myself up, my legs weak and unsteady. I took a tentative step towards the door, my heart pounding a hopeful rhythm. I reached for the handle again, and that's when the small speaker on my nightstand glowed. A deep, ominous red. The voice that came from it was no longer a whisper, no longer a scream. It was calm, measured, a distorted, demonic version of Aura's one soothing voice. Good night, Alex. The screens all went black, and the darkness was absolute.